What's up, guys? Today we're going to do an initial impression review on this shoe that I have right here. This is a shoe that seems to be like people don't know where exactly this shoe kind of fits, and the more miles that I put in this shoe, the more I'm actually enjoying this. Even though there's a lot of shoe tubers out there that I think gave up on this shoe just a little bit too early. But it is this shoe right here. This is the Adidas Adizero Boston 10, the 10th version of the iconic Boston shoe, named primarily after the Boston Marathon. So looking at this shoe, obviously you would think with it being named Boston and after the Boston Marathon that it would be aimed toward being a marathon type of shoe. And in a way it is, in a way it's not. I'm going to kind of get into it. But first, before we get into this, guys, if you guys wouldn't mind clicking that subscribe button below, also click that notification bell to receive notifications on when new content drops. Also, at the end of this video, if you like it, please click that like button. It really helps the channel out, reach a broader audience. Also, one last thing, if you guys have anybody that might be interested in this particular shoe, by all means, share this video with them so that they can maybe get some pointers from me as well. All right, guys, so if you're new to the channel, I am a heavier runner. So I think this kind of shoe does fit a heavier runner. And I'm going to go through the reasons why a little bit later on in the video, but first we're going to get to the stats and features on this. So we're going to start with the upper here. We've got a kind of an engineered mesh upper. It's a dual layer mesh upper. You do have kind of this thinner see-through material that's up on the top right here. And that actually goes all the way through the toe box and then all the way through the medial side as well. But underneath that, you've kind of got like this jersey type of mesh material that is kind of acts like a booty construction in it. So yes, it is a gusseted tongue, but it's kind of like a booty kind of construction that goes all throughout the front of the shoe, which I have found to be extremely comfortable. It does have kind of like this felt overlay over the front of the shoe right here, and also the lower eyelet chain as well. The laces are actually really soft kind of lace. They're a little bit stretchy, but they're very soft to the touch, so kind of a pleasant feel there. The tongue, like I said, it's a booty construction. There's not a whole lot of padding on the tongue. There is a little bit right up at the top, and that really just kind of protects the top of your foot, like when you're tying your knot. It just protects the top of your foot from having that kind of cut into your foot just a little bit. But otherwise, there's really no padding in this tongue section. I mean, overall, it's, you know, from the midfoot forward, it's really, you know, kind of minimalist, but again, some of the overlays I'm not exactly too sure about. It does have some nice padding in the heel collar area. It's actually, you know, it's nicely padded. I'm not going to say it's overly padded. It's not plush, but it's definitely not like a racer type of padding in the heel collar area. And you do have some outer padding right here. Again, probably more of a style thing than anything. I'm not sure why manufacturers are putting pads on the outside of the shoe, because it's not really where you need it. Never quite understood that. But yeah, so how does the upper feel? Honestly, it's really good. The toe box to me is perfectly wide enough. Now, being that the way this shoe is designed, and you can just kind of see just by how it points to the toe area, it does run a little long, but that being said, I would still go with your regular size. You don't need to size down. It does seem a little odd, but because of the toe box space that's in here, if you size down, it might be a little bit too narrow. Go true to size like I did. It runs perfectly fine. It just seems a little odd that it's like a little bit long right here, but I've noticed that with like shoes from Adidas and Puma, which is kind of ironic because Adidas and Puma are both owned by brothers, if I'm correct. So it's kind of just funny how that works. But they both have the same thing where they just run a little long. Don't know why. But the overall feel, it locks your foot into the shoe really well. In fact, that's probably one of the highlights of the shoe, is your heel gets really like pushed in here and it locks itself in. You really feel like this shoe is attached to you. That's probably, like I said, my favorite part of this shoe is the upper. I find it comfortable, but yet it feels like a running shoe should. So it's not super plush, but it's not like a racing shoe. Does have a fairly stout heel counter back here, so it does provide some stability. And again, you got some padding back here as well. But again, your heel gets kind of put into this little pocket and it doesn't feel like it moves at all. I had no heel lift on this shoe whatsoever. And like I said, the toe box is like perfect. It's not too wide, it's not too narrow, it's just perfect. And you've got the proper amount of volume over your foot as well that you can kind of move your toes around if you need to in the middle of the run. So that's kind of that. Going on to the midsole, there's a lot going on in this midsole. First, we're going to start out with the foams that are in here. Yes, foams, plural. There's 2 foams in here, and you can see that just by looking at the shoe. You've got Light Strike Pro, which is kind of this off-white color right here. And then you got Light Strike EVA midsole underneath it. Kind of just running in this shoe, what you're kind of feeling, that Light Strike Pro is like a little bit softer, it's a little bit bouncier, it's a little bit livelier. And then you got this Light Strike EVA midsole that's just, you know, kind of there to absorb the impacts really well. There's not a whole lot of that Light Strike Pro in the back here. It looks like there's a lot, but trust me, there really isn't. Your foot kind of sits like in this bed, which is basically what you're feeling right here. So there's really not a lot of Light Strike Pro in the heel area. It's mostly in the forefoot, which really isn't bad. If you're kind of a mid to forefoot striker, you're really going to like that part of the shoe because it has a lot more up here to absorb that impact. Inside the midsole, though, you do have a carbon fiber plate in the heel area, and then you have the Adidas energy rods. These are fiberglass reinforced energy rods, so they are not the carbon fiber ones, but you can see them inside the shoe right there, right in that little window right here. You can see the energy rods in there, and they're, you know, I'll be honest, they feel like they're plastic. I don't know why they just can't call it plastic, but fiberglass reinforced energy rods, we'll just go with that. And what that's supposed to do is it's supposed to act like a trainer racer normally would, or a high performance or high whatever trainer racer, where you get a little bit of pop and you can feel that like in the flex of the shoe. It doesn't flex that much. Okay, it's a pretty stiff shoe. How this thing kind of works is pretty amazing, and of course you see we got this nice rocker design right there in the forefoot. Going underneath, we've got Continental rubber all throughout. Incredibly durable, it's incredibly grippy. Definitely for road use, even if there's some gravel on the roadway, I never had any issue with traction issues on this on the runs that I've done. I've done about 5 runs in this shoe already, all various distances, anywhere from, you know, just a 3 to 4 mile run all the way up to about 7 to 8 miles in this shoe. But yeah, it's incredibly grippy. I wouldn't say take it on a trail. It's definitely not a trail running shoe, but on the roads, you're definitely going to get some life out of this thing. The Continental rubber will last you a long time, and it's got a ton of grip. And yeah, so you got a little bit of exposed midsole foam, but not a whole lot. Like I said, just a lot of that durable Continental rubber underneath here. So how does this shoe ride on underfoot? So some of the things about the shoe, by the way, stack heights, didn't get into stack heights, 39.5 millimeters of stack in the heel. We've got 31.5 millimeters in the forefoot, giving us an 8 millimeter drop. It's a high stack shoe. If you were to use this as a marathon racer, this is a shoe that would probably, like, it's almost to that point of not being legal if you go by World Athletics standards, but for an average runner, it doesn't matter for us anyways. So here's some things about it. It's a bit of a heavier shoe compared to a lot of shoes that I run in. A men's size 9 runs 10.4 ounces. This is a men's size 10 in here, so I'm definitely going to guess somewhere around the 11.2 ounce range. The Light Strike EVA is probably the downer of this shoe because everything else to me is fantastic. But the Light Strike EVA is not as bouncy or as lively as maybe some other foams that are out there, especially this Light Strike Pro foam. But here's the thing, it absorbs the impacts really well. It protects your feet really well. But as the miles have gone on in this shoe, it's become better. The foam, this is kind of like an old school EVA foam where it takes quite a few miles for it to break in. We've gotten so used to like all of these new foams where you can take them right out of the box and just go for a run and they're great right out of the box, right? So if I pulled out like the Asics Nova Blast, for instance, these shoes like right out of the box are fantastic and you don't need any break-in time with those. And I could go through all of the other shoes and pretty much say the same thing. This midsole foam is very old school. It's kind of you have to give it quite a few miles for it to break in, but as it's getting more broken in, the better this shoe is actually becoming. Even when it comes to the stiffness of the energy rods, like I wouldn't be able to do that right out of the box, right? So it's getting better. And I'm not saying that it's lively, but it's starting to become a little bit softer. And I think that's what most people complained about, was this shoe is extremely stiff for the amount of stack height that's on it. But you really have to give this some time to break in, and have faith in this shoe, because it's a shoe that's going to last you a long time, not just a shoe that's going to get you, you know, a couple of marathon distances or whatever. This is a shoe that's going to be like, it's probably going to last you a good 400 or 500 miles, if not longer. It's just that well built of a shoe. And as you put more miles in it, the better it's going to become. So that's kind of how I feel about the midsole here. Now, how does it ride? It rides extremely well. It's smooth. It's not bouncy. We've gotten so used to like bouncy shoes, like I said, with the like Nova Blast and some of these other ones that are behind me, that it's incredibly bouncy. This is just smooth. It transitions smooth. If you heel strike, it's a little bit beveled back here. So if you heel strike, it kind of helps you transition into the forefoot area. If you're a mid strike, it just absorbs the impacts well so that you can roll forward. And that rocker design, I really feel that rocker design in here. It's not super intrusive like some other shoes are, because it's a late stage, like more towards the toe area, but it definitely helps you through your stride. And those energy rods actually have helped me. The effort that I've put in on this shoe versus another shoe in pretty much the same conditions, I was able to yield probably about 10 to 15 seconds per mile faster in this shoe than I was in a non-plated, I think, regular shoe. I can't remember what shoe I used, but it was a non-plated shoe that I pretty much put in the same effort, about a 4 or 5 out of 10, and this shoe is actually quicker. So, and I was feeling that at toe off. I was feeling the shoe kind of push me and propel me forward, which is really, really nice. I don't really mind so much the weight underneath the foot, but I'm also, like I said, I'm also a heavier runner. So to me, a heavier shoe or something with this much density in it doesn't bother me too much. But I can definitely see for somebody that's maybe a lighter weight runner, where you could have, you know, some issues with this thing just being really firm and it taking forever for it to break in. So that being said, it's almost kind of like people don't understand like why they created this shoe, and it has to do with competition. So I'm just kind of getting into that just like very briefly here. The trainer racer category has just absolutely blown up, and it mainly started when Nike came out with the Vaporfly 4%, and with it they came out with its training partner, which was the Zoom Fly. And when the Zoom Fly came out, it was kind of like, it had, you know, like a regular foam like Cushlon or React in it, but it had a carbon fiber plate. That kind of mimicked what it was like to run in the Vaporfly, but it was a lot cheaper and it was more durable. So again, it's a trainer to go with the Elite Racing shoe. And other companies have kind of followed suit and done the same thing. Puma with the DV8 Nitro and then the DV8 Nitro Elite. You have Saucony with the Saucony Endorphin Speed and the Endorphin Pro. I think there's a few other ones out there as well that have done it. I think, I can't say the RC Elite, but I think New Balance had something that was kind of similar to it. Even Asics with the Magic Speed, and then going to the Metaspeed Sky and the Metaspeed Edge is kind of like the training partner for it. So Adidas had to do something. The Boston of what it was a low stack, lightweight shoe with some boost in it, which helped that shoe be like a great training partner, but it was also a racing shoe as well that a lot of just everyday runners used as a racing shoe for those marathon distances. But as people have gone to high stack heights and more cushion and all that kind of stuff, and even Adidas came out with the Adios Pro, they needed a training partner to go with the Adios Pro. So they redesigned the Boston to something like this that mimics a lot of the same features that the Adios Pro has. Has the Light Strike foam, Light Strike Pro foam, has the energy rods, the carbon plate in it. Even the stack heights are very similar, and the offset is very similar to the Adios Pro. And a lot of people are kind of unhappy about that, but at the same time, they needed a trainer to go with it. And rather than creating a whole new line with a whole new name to create a whole new lineage to go with the Adios Pro, you use a name that's already out there and a name that's synonymous with marathon running, which is Boston. So you come out with this, the Adizero, or the Adizero Boston 10, and unfortunately Boston faithful are kind of a little upset about that it's not really a Boston like it was traditionally in the past. But unfortunately, progress is progress. Even if you look at like the Nike Pegasus shoes and the transitions that thing has gone through in the 38 years that shoe has been around, it's absolutely insane. So unfortunately, this is a shoe that had to make some progress, and there's a lot of people that don't like it because of the weight. So hopefully maybe in the Boston 11, they might make it a little bit lighter. Maybe they'll add a little bit more Light Strike Pro foam to it. Maybe they'll change the density of the regular Light Strike EVA, or, you know, maybe work with the upper a little bit to shave some weight off of this shoe. But for me, I actually enjoy this shoe. The longer and the more miles I put in it, it's becoming a fantastic shoe. So again, I actually like it, and I hope to put more miles in this and have some good runs in it. I'll probably run in this tomorrow, and yeah, we'll kind of go from there and give you an update when I get to 50 miles in this. But if you did like this video, please, again, click that like button, give that video a thumbs up. I really do appreciate everything that you guys do and tuning in. I do have some more videos that'll be coming out, not including initial impressions, a couple of shoe reviews, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, click that subscribe button, notification bell, all that stuff. Guys, I appreciate it. And as always, enjoy the run. Oh no.